Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning, my people. It is great to see you this morning, um, guys. This is our fifth session of faith-based investing, and I'm really excited to share stuff with you today. So, um, over the years, I've helped a lot of people buy and sell real estate. Um, some of it has been for their own personal use. Some has been for investment purposes, and um, can I just get real with you for a minute? What is absolutely mind blowing to me is the number of slumlords out there who allow their residents to live in extreme poverty conditions while they only collect the rent. They don't fix things and they ignore all kinds of requests. Um, I just that's not right to me. Some slumlording is it's just disgusting, and it's a practice that um, there's actually laws written to protect civil liberties of residents in these situations. Um, there's just no excuse for treating people inhumanely in order to gain wealth. It's just not right. So today on faith-based investing, we're going to be talking about investing as an act of grace. And so, welcome to this week's Bite of Reality. This is Faith Based Investing Live. I'm your resident faith based investing host, Joshua Christensen. And you could have chosen to spend your time in a lot of different ways, but you chose to spend your time here with me. And so, um, that's awesome. So thank you so much for joining us. There is a chat box right over here on the right. So ask questions. Don't be shy. Jump on in there, and I'll get to those questions. Make sure you put a big Q in front of the question so I can see that when it comes up. Now, over the last few weeks, we've been talking about 10 reasons that faith-based investors are different than investors, right? So today we're looking at number 5. Investing is an act of grace. We're going to move away from that whole slumlording thing, okay? So let's start out and define grace. Now, my favorite definition of spiritual grace is actually the Hebrew meaning, which is the act of bending or stooping in kindness to another as a superior to an inferior. That's pretty cool. An act of bending or stooping in kindness towards another person. How cool is that? I mean, isn't that what God did for us when he sent his son to do for us what we couldn't do for ourselves? That that's just a powerful, powerful thought. That as a faith-based investor, we are stooping to help those who are maybe less fortunate, who can't provide housing for themselves. I want you to stop and think about investing as we've been talking about it over the last few weeks, right? We've looked at being the master of the Lord's business as a steward of his house. We have talked about going to God in prayer and asking diligently in prayer. We have talked about aligning ourselves with God's thoughts around this idea of investing. We've talked about renewal and transformation that starts within the mind. And so now, as a faith based investor, we're looking at acting on behalf of God's business to provide housing for those who can't provide it for themselves. We're stooping down to lift them up, right? So real estate is so personal. We are providing people with their home, their refuge, their sanctuary. It's where they go after a long day of work, and let's face it, most of the people that we rent to, they work hard. I mean, it tends to be more of our working class, and they're out there working really hard. They want a safe place that they can come home to and relax. So we've got to be able to take care of it. We are in that uh, we're in that position as a faith-based investor to stoop in kindness, to provide grace to someone who needs a place to call home. You know, somebody who's renting a home isn't always in a position to be able to buy their own home. So they rent, you know, for various different reasons. And that's okay. But isn't it mind blowing that we can stoop, that we're in that position to stoop and offer grace and lift them up? I want to take a look at a passage in Luke chapter 4, starting in verse 16. This is talking about Jesus. It says, he went to Nazareth where he had been brought up. And on the Sabbath day, he went into the synagogue, as was his custom. And he stood up to read. The scroll, the prophet Isaiah, was handed to him. Unrolling it, he found the place where it was written, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me because he has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to release the oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." Another definition of grace is actually showing the Lord's favor. All right, so we're kind of getting deep here, right? So, as faith-based investors, we look for multifamily properties in which we can serve people in a few different ways, right? We're offering them basic shelter. We're giving them a dignified and decent home where things work properly and repairs are made. We are maybe giving them a second chance at life. We don't know. Everybody's got a story, right? Maybe we're giving them freedom from the oppression of slumlords. Ooh, that's a big one, right? This is good news for the poor. It's encouragement for the downtrodden at different times in their life. See, we get to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor on our residents' lives whenever when we come in contact with them. Listen, when people follow Jesus, he proclaimed to them that foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. One of the very basic needs that we as human beings have is a home. It's a shelter from the elements to protect us from the elements. As faith-based investors, we have the amazing opportunity to provide this essential need for people. You know, what an amazing act of grace investing is. What a gift it is to serve so many other people in this way, right? Look, just take a look at all that we're doing to align our headspace and our heart and our motivations with the very heart of God for his people. I mean, this is amazing. See, the Lord is a Lord of provision. In Deuteronomy chapter 8, Moses is getting the people ready to go in and take the promised land, and so he tells them that when they go into this promised land, they're gonna have houses that they didn't build. They're going to inherit fields, i.e., businesses that they didn't build, right? And it's going to create great wealth for them. So King David was burdened by the idea that he lived in a palace and he had all kinds of houses, but yet they had to carry the Lord from place to place in the ark, and he had no home of his own. So David begged God to build him a temple to be the very house of God. Acts 2:42 or 2:44. It says all the believers were together and they had everything in common, selling their possessions, and they gave to everyone as he had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and they ate with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. Guys, see, the early believers spent a lot of time together. They were generous with their possessions. They gave to other people as they had need. They broke bread in their homes. They praised God together. The Lord used all of these things to add to their number every single day. More believers came out of the woodworks because of all this. And so, as faith-based investors, we put ourselves in a position to bless others with our possessions. See, you know, usually a faith-based investor has his own home, right? And we're able to break bread and show hospitality within our home. When we start investing in real estate, we start adding homes to our own personal portfolio. Suddenly, we have multiple homes and we can start blessing many people by giving them homes. And in some cases, we might even be breaking bread in their homes. There's so many different aspects to this. Look at Acts chapter 4 in verse 34. Again, we're talking about the early believers in the first century. It says there were no needy persons among them. And from time to time, those who owned lands or houses sold them, brought the money from the sales, and put it at the apostles' feet. And it was distributed to anyone as he had need. So here's the question of the day. Maybe you've been investing for some time now. Maybe you're thinking about investing in real estate. Have you ever found yourself in a possession or in a position to be able to sell a piece of land or a house to provide for other people's needs in the community of believers? How amazing would that be if we had a community of believers out there who owned homes, who owned land, and when they saw somebody's need, they could actually sell one of those pieces of property to provide for the needs of other people. See, to me, that's an amazing, amazing position to be in. Is that a position that you want to be in? And becoming a faith-based investor is about exactly that. We use our God-given talents that to invest in real estate to build a portfolio of housing that blesses people. If that's something you want to do, call me. I can help you. I can help you do that. I mean, that's what I do for a living, right? During this COVID-19, this corona, have done it. They've reacted a couple different ways when people weren't able to pay. Some have acted arrogantly and tried to evict people that couldn't pay because they lost their job. Some have been on forums complaining and arguing that their residents won't pay. But there's been a small few, a group of very gracious landlords across the country who have been in a position to where they were able to waive April and May rents across the board. They just told their residents whether they could afford it or they couldn't. Didn't matter. They told them that they were waiving the April and May rents. That's amazing. You know, I'm blown away by that. I want to be in a position with our portfolio to be able to do things like that. Right now, I have a small portfolio residence that we're building a portfolio. So right now we just have a very small portfolio, but our rents barely cover the expenses. So we're not really in a position yet to be able to waive the rents. However, we've been able to work with our residents who ran into situations with their employment to waive any late fees for the month during these difficult times, which made a big difference for them. And we've allowed them to be late. So for April, we're at 100%. All of our rents have been collected. We didn't collect any late fees. We worked with people. There were a few that came into the later part of the month. And here in May, I am down to in 21 units, we are down to 2 that haven't paid yet. And so, it's encouraging to be able to move forward with these things and to help people in these difficult situations, because this COVID thing kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, it was all of a sudden in March, everything is shutting down. Nobody expected it. In February, it was business as usual. And the coronavirus was a joke. We were all we were kind of joking about it, right? And by March, we started realizing how serious it was. Then in April, it got real serious. And point is that faith-based investors are able to provide and show the Lord's favor. So last week, um, I was on site. I was out at one of our communities doing some landscaping and cleaning some things up and stuff. And I got to talking to a one of our residents who was a little bit down and out in her life, and I was able to spend some extra time um, actually talking about the Lord's favor with her. You know, uh, and encourage her and lift her up. And my maintenance guy was there. He was converting all of the furnaces to coolers for the summer. That's a big deal down here in the Southwest. So we're getting all the coolers ready for the summer. And he overheard me and he was blown away. He told me afterwards that um, he was really blown away that I took the time to lift her up in that time when she needed it. See, that's what this is all about. We are investing the Lord's gold and silver to bless the people that he loves so dearly. And faith-based investing is an act of grace. It's an act of mercy on God's people, you know? So I want to leave you with this idea. All right. It says, then the king will say to those on the right, come, you who are blessed by my Father. Take your inheritance. The kingdom is prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. This passage says a lot. I want to look at the part that says, I was a stranger, and you invited me in. Isn't that what we do with our new residents? They're strangers. We get to know them, but we're inviting them into our homes. Maybe we don't live there personally, but this portfolio of properties that you're buying, these are your possessions. This is your community of people, and we're inviting these strangers in to live amongst us. You know, we're bringing them into these properties, that we're bringing them into these communities, and we provide them with a safe haven that becomes their refuge. My friends, listen, investing in real estate can be scary, and I want to encourage you to weigh all of your options. It's not for everybody. I get that. And if you have the fortitude to learn and grow as a faith-based investor, you'll be blessed beyond all measures because you first provided this gift of grace to others. See, we're halfway through this series of faith-based investing. We're halfway through, so there's 10 lessons total. Today we're going over number 5, part 5. Next week we're going to be discussing being reasonable and prudent with our investments. So I hope that this has been a great blessing to you as we go through all these lessons and we align ourselves with God's word in our investments. We're going to get to all the tactical stuff, and I'm going to start covering, getting into numbers and all that stuff. But right now, we're getting our heart aligned with God as we go through this. So this has been another week. It's been another challenging lesson. And I'm fired up to continue to share and grow together in this journey of faith-based investing. Let's work together and make faith-based investing into a national movement of Christian investors. Will you help me turn this into a revolution and a movement to change how we invest and serve in our communities to the glory of God? I mean, will you help? Do you want to be part of something like that? Remember on Mondays, Mondays, I'm doing kind of a shot in the arm for the week. It's called Monday Motivation. Just a short little recording that you can listen to. You can share it with your friends. So that's on our Facebook page that we're posting that. I also have it recorded and uploaded here on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe below. And on Fridays, we're coming back here live every Friday, and we're going through faith-based investing live. So again, right now we're in the middle of this 10-part series, and that's cool. Um, After we finish this up, we'll go into another series that I'm working on. So, and I'm really excited to get into some of this stuff with you because we're going to do some really cool things. Today at 2 o'clock, I'm actually going to be a guest on a podcast, and I'm a guest with another gentleman who runs a company that does self-directed IRAs and helps people use their retirement funds to invest in real estate, which is a game changer for so many people. If you understand how that works, and it's exciting. So at 2 o'clock today, I'm going to be on that podcast, and that's going to be recorded. So I'll be able to get a link out for you, and I'll share that and post that here on our YouTube channel so that you'll be able to kind of see what that was about. But I want you to be sure to follow and like our Facebook page. It's EQT Property Management, right? So, but next Friday, come back here, right here, this channel, right? Come back and join us at 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, where we're live. You can ask your questions live. I don't have any questions this morning, and that's okay. But just come back and watch us live every week so that you can participate and take part. And if you've got questions, I'll work with you and answer that stuff live right here on the show. So if you want to have a one-on-one discussion about your portfolio, about investments that you're making, maybe you want to do some investing, but you're not sure where to get started, I can help you with that. Send me a message at office at eqtpm.com. It's office at eqtpm.com. Or you can send me a private message there on Facebook from our page. But guys, let's change the world together. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you next week.